how to balance your time, your days, your life as a corporate girly, working full time, a mum, a friend, a daughter, a wife, all of these things. I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm sat here saying this, then I think, do I fit all these things in? But no, I have a few tips on how to get through these hectic days and weeks, and I'm hoping that you will find them very useful. In this vlog, we're just going to cover things like how to fit in exercise and, healthy eating, and just generally what my day looks like as a working mum. So join me, grab your cup of tea. This is the me time that we're going to sort of pencil in at another time, so I hope that you're enjoying it. And get comfortable. So my day has already slightly started. It's currently 8:02, and generally I set my alarm for about half past 6. I get up and shower and things like that, and Ophelia is usually awake at 7. I work from home, so that is a big plus. For anybody that is not working from home, we can have another little chat later on in this vlog, because power to you, huns, because that is hard work. It's definitely so much easier working from home to be able to fit in some of the more mum-like tasks, because you just really have to pack it all in when you're going into the office. But what I would also say is that you get your separate time and you're not also looking at the house stuff all day. Anyway, let's start with the beginning of the day. So I set my alarm at 6:30, and even if Ophelia's awake, she's usually happy to stay in her cot. So I think the first tip is get ready without the baby. You need, I mean, I say this, but this isn't very, this for me is put together. So we just have a black top on from Topshop, clean hair, and clean face with SPF on. So for me this is winning because I'm working from home. But even if you're not, you need time to get dressed without children, husband, or anybody moving around. So as I say, Ophelia doesn't usually get up until 7, but at 6:30 I just have my shower in peace. I pick out what I'm wearing, because the problem is for us mums, as soon as you get up and they're up, your mind is just completely torn already. It's already torn in two. And so then you can't focus on what you're wearing, you can't focus on anything at all, and then you end up wearing something you're not comfortable with, you don't fully do your hair, all these other things, and it doesn't make you feel good. And that's what's really important. You need to feel good, because you can think, oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine, but then halfway through the day you think, it really does matter, I wish I had. So tip 1, set your alarm before anybody else. I know it's an extra half an hour of early and less sleep, but it's definitely worth it. Next thing is I then get up with Ophelia, do her breakfast, and I start work. I come back upstairs for work at 7:30. So that really helps me. So I'm here now in work, 7:30, with my cup of tea, and we go from there. So I'm making a tuna pitta. I find that on work days, I really need to have something that's like an easy go-to, that's like filling and healthy, because otherwise you feel rubbish because you've had something that's not very healthy and it's not very fulfilling, but also you feel a bit guilty about it, and you just need to be fueled up. So yes, I've got a pita bread, I've got my bag of salad. I really like this baby leaf salad because it's like really dark and full of hopefully good things. And then I've just got some tuna, and I mix my tuna with sour cream, and I really hope that doesn't gross anybody out there. I don't like mayonnaise. So I do a full tin of tuna, which is probably quite a bit, really. Probably not necessary to have so much, but I'm a hungry girl, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, sorry, I just defrosted that in the microwave. Because I have to freeze all bready things, because the thing is, it's like for one day I might have a pita, and the next day, I mean, a lot of it revolves around trying to incorporate a little bit of salad into my lunches, because I just feel like if I can just try and get a bit of veg into each meal, makes me feel better. So jacket potatoes are another quick go-to, because again, I can just shove those in the microwave, you know, 10 minutes whilst I'm doing things. And again, I know it's really bad, but a lot of the time I will maybe eat my lunch whilst working, which isn't ideal. I'll bring my laptop downstairs and eat it in the kitchen, so that I can, because my office is upstairs, you see, so that's a little bit gross. I wouldn't take food upstairs. But yeah, so I'll do that, and then I'm going to go for a lovely walk, hopefully. I'd usually go for a walk first, and then have my lunch. But today I am feeling very hungry, so lunch first it is. Just on my lunchtime walk. I just do this to get some steps in, because we know how hard it is to get steps in every day as a working mum. So my lunchtime, I am really privileged because I work from home, so I can do that. Because when I used to work in the office, obviously you can't on lunchtime, or you might be able to depending on where you work and how long you get. But when I used to work in the office, I would swap this out for a morning gym session, which is very hard. But it's also so great to get a bit of vitamin D, have a look at the outside world and not at a screen. It's just wonderful. So, much later in the day now, let me just move my hand over. Terrible angle. But we're off on our evening little stroll. We do this a lot after work. Pick her up, have some snacks at home, and then we come for a walk. Get a bit of fresh air for her and I, just a bit of quality time together. Another way to get a few extra steps in as well and get a bit of a tan on. Yeah, we're going to the shop now. Inevitably, I've always forgotten something, so we end up going to Co-op as well. So in essence, I think my top tips for being... sorry, let's just comment on the tan lines. this is my attempt to even those out. Anyway, my top tips for being a full-time working girl, as well as being, you know, a mum and everything else on top. I think my top tips really are: find a way to fit in your steps every day. I think if you can do those when you're outside as well, I think that's so important. I think getting a bit of time outside in the fresh air and moving your body for just half an hour a day makes you feel so much better. I think it's just so important for your mental health as well as your overall general fitness. So I think if you can find a way of doing that when the kids aren't at home, I think that would be really good, because, like, as I say, I do it on my lunch break, but maybe before you go and pick them up from school, or you can walk to pick them up from school if they are close enough to you, but just a way of doing it so it fits in every day. I think that also just having a routine that fits the things in that you want to achieve that day. So for me, fitness is a super important thing for me. I can really sometimes struggle with my mental health, and fitness is the one thing that, no matter how I wake up, so if I wake up, because some days I can wake up with these like really intrusive thoughts from like the minute I open my eyes, and for me really sometimes the only fix for that is exercise. It's the only thing that can really turn it round. Obviously when I'm with Ophelia it's just wonderful, but at the same time that comes with these other struggles, and the minute she's not with me, then I'm back to thinking those thoughts. So for me, exercise is super important. So that was like priority number one. Once it was going back to work as a mum, how am I going to fit my exercise in? And straight away lunchtime, that's one of them. Because obviously it's summer now, so the other thing I do to get in some extra steps is take Ophelia for a walk once I've picked her up from school, childminders, sorry. But again, in the winter, by 5 o'clock it's pitch black, so we can't do that. So we can do some playing at home, and that's fine, because obviously she runs around, she doesn't need the exercise. But for me then it's about how do I then fit it in at some other times. So after she goes to bed sometimes, I've started doing a Pilates class. Now, I don't know if I'm going to keep up with that. I'm thinking, I used to do a lot of running. I think I'm going to go back into that. So obviously I'll need to find a group, and I think that's really important as well. I think if you can, just once a week or once every couple of weeks, go to something that's organised, that you have to be at a certain time. Pencil that me time in, where it's solely like this, not going to the gym, because you can do that whenever you want, and that is great for flexibility, because sometimes, you know, you can't make those classes that week and that's a bit of a shame, but it's really good at forcing you out the door. I find it's really hard to be selfish. I find it really, once you're a mum, it's really hard to be like, I'm going to miss bedtime tonight and go and take half an hour for myself. But if it, you know, and just take myself off to the gym when I could find a more convenient time. Whereas a class is a class and it's on when it's on. So yeah, for me fitness is really important. For you it might be something else, but I think like it's about planning a realistic day, like a day that you are going to achieve. Because sometimes I'll go to the gym before work, but it's very rare because I'm too tired and I don't want to, so I can't rely on me doing that. I need to fit it in at a different time. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I will pick, in the winter, I may have picked her up half an hour later from the childminders, because I've taken myself for a walk at the only time it's light, because I think, no, do you know what? Mentally, as a mum, I want to be picking her up in the best mood possible, so I'm going to fit it in then. So these are like my main tips, which is just think about the things that are really important to you to get done throughout the week, and fit them in at times which make sense. The same with healthy eating. Lunchtime is hard. Don't set yourself a goal of making yourself a fresh salad with all these amazing things in every single day if you're not going to do that, because it's fine. Just try and think of easy things like jacket potatoes that can go in the microwave for 5 minutes with a ready-made bag of salad. Amazing. And just try and like sort of think of those things when you're doing the food shop for the week, because it's the only really way that you can do it all, is sort of planning ahead, but also planning ahead knowing that you're going to be tired and you're not going to want to do that. I mean, sometimes I sit there, I do the food shop, and I think every night I'm going to make all these amazing meals, and it gets to it and I think I don't want to do that today, I am tired. So try and give yourself easy wins, like, okay, tonight we're going to have frozen salmon parcels from from Tesco, and they're just salmon in pastry and they go straight in the oven. But I'm going to do is veg and homemade potato wedges. So it's like half and half. I don't really have to do anything, but it's a homemade meal. It's better than it's going to McDonald's. So just also cut yourself some slack. I know that you're going to need to. Don't see it as a failure. That's fine. That's a homemade meal pretty much. It's midweek. You know what I mean? So yeah, those are my tips for yourself. And when you can, pencil that time in to help yourself. I always give myself 10 minutes before I go and pick her up to get ready, and it makes me feel great. Sorry, just briefly interrupted there. Yeah, so my key takeaways from this basically are for you to work out what is the most important thing for you. What is the thing that makes you feel really good after you've done it, and the kind of thing that you want to be able to fit into, if possible, every day, but if not possible, most days or a couple of times a week. And think of like really realistic ways of how you can actually achieve them. Like I said before, I have actually sort of paid for like a set of classes for this Reformer Pilates studio, and they're quite expensive, and I thought maybe I'm just going to do that instead of the gym. But once you book a class, you can't then change your mind after that point, but you need to book a week in advance. And for me as a mum, that's actually just not very realistic. So for me, I've already realised that I'd love to do Reformer Pilates, however it's super expensive and you have to commit too much to a class, which I know that just isn't sort of reasonable for me. Whereas say a running club, I know that, you know, if I don't go 1 week, it's okay, I can go next week, and I think that sort of fits more with my lifestyle. And like I say, when I'm feeling super tired or whatever, I can always just get my steps in every day because I sort of pencil in when I'm going to do them. And yeah, the same with the eating and anything else that you want to do, personal projects, just anything that makes you feel good. And like I say, I get up a bit earlier than Ophelia so I can shower and get a normal outfit on, ready for work. And then just before I go and pick her up, which is now, so sorry, everything that you've seen was actually yesterday, which just shows that you can't fit everything into each day, and you just can't think that you're going to. You just have to let yourself off the hook for kind of most things. You're working full time, if you're a mum as well, even if you're not, like, you know, life is busy and it's absolutely okay to not be able to do anything sometimes in the day. Sometimes you just really can't do anything. This last week I've had the most uncomfortable period pains, and it's just been really hard to achieve anything at all. Hence the reason this whole day with me thing has spanned over 2 days. But yes, like I say, before I go and pick Ophelia up, I always give myself 10 minutes because I like to think once I'm leaving the house to pick her up, I'm gonna, you know, put my hair up and make myself presentable. Today I put makeup on because I'm filming. And it's just those things. Give yourself those minutes, because I think you get into the habit of not doing. Even before I was a mum, sometimes often I wouldn't give myself a minute, but do it, because often it is only a minute that you need. So those are my top tips for how to survive. But the main takeaway is be kind to yourself. Don't try and achieve absolutely everything in one day, because you're not going to. You're working, guys. That's enough. Thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next one.